Hi everyone, and welcome back for week 2 of my Bake Off Technical Challenges Bake Along. So another week of Bake Off has come and gone. Last week was week 2, biscuit week, and the bakers were asked by Prue this time to make 12 Garibaldi biscuits. Now, in my opinion, Garibaldi biscuits are very, bottom tier in the biscuit world. I think I've made them once before, a few years ago, and they were just so. They're a bit boring. That's really my opinion of them. But these ones for the technical challenge are dipped in dark chocolate. So hopefully that makes them taste better. So yeah, I suppose I'll just get on with it and see how it goes. So step number 1 is to finely chop 150 grams of currants and 50 grams of cranberries. I am now going to put them into a saucepan and then add 150 mils of orange juice. And then I'm just going to cook that and leave it to simmer for about 5 minutes to allow the fruit to soak up as much of the orange juice as possible. So I have just transferred the fruit onto a piece of kitchen towel on a plate. They do seem quite wet, so I will also make sure that I dry them off, from the top, because a lot of the bakers were told that their biscuits weren't crispy enough, probably because there was too much liquid in the fruit. So in a way it's a bit controversial because they're like, oh, plump up the fruit and make them more juicy, but then also it can make the biscuit soggy, so I think that's going to be a tricky one here. But yeah, so what I'm going to do now is start the biscuit dough. So I have 125 grams of flour and a bit of salt in here, and 75 grams of cold cubed butter. And I'm just going to start by rubbing the butter into the flour to make like a breadcrumb-like consistency. Then I will add the sugar, and then I'm going to also add an egg yolk and some water. So yeah, let's make the dough. Okay, so that's my biscuit dough done. I actually ended up adding a little bit more flour to the mixture because I think maybe my egg, it was just a bit too much, so the mixture seemed very wet. So I went with my gut feeling this week and added just a wee bit of flour, and now I think it's a good consistency. It said to flatten the dough into a disc and wrap in cling film to chill for 20 minutes in the fridge, but I've actually put mine into a rectangle simply because after this I'm going to have to roll it out into a rectangle, so I always find starting from a rectangle to make a rectangle is a lot easier, so that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, anyway, this goes in the fridge now for 20 minutes. Right, so my oven is preheating, my dough has had time to chill, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half, and then it says to roll it out into 2 rectangles that are 20 by 15 centimeters long and about 3 millimeters thick. So yeah, here's my ruler. Let's go. Okay, now then, so I've got my 2 squares, and now I'm going to brush the first square. Oh, Actually, I've not. We're going to brush the first square with some egg whites, the stuff that was left over earlier. Put the fruit on and then lay the second layer on top. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I have created the 2 layers. I've now rolled it out to a 20 by 25 centimeter rectangle. I've trimmed the edges and now I'm going to try and cut them into 12 equally sized biscuits. So that shouldn't be too difficult. But yeah, and then I'm going to place them on a baking tray and brush them with egg white. So there we go, my biscuits are on 2 trays. I actually have 14 and I kind of just went with the measurements that Prue gave for the size of them, and I'm not sure if I maybe just cut off less excess, but I actually managed to get 2 extra biscuits out of it, so hey, I'm not going to complain. And what's quite good is that you can use some of the offcuts to patch up anything, because sometimes when you cut the biscuit, some of the fruit lifts the biscuit dough off. So I've just patched off any bits that maybe didn't have as much pastry on them anymore with some of these offcuts. So yeah, they've come in very handy. Plus, I've just dried them, and actually, the dough and the fruit taste quite good. But anyway, so these go in the oven now for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to just leave them to cool before I decorate them with the best bit, which is the chocolate. Cool, so I actually just pulled my trays back out of the oven. Ooh, they're actually already quite hot. Because suddenly I realised I hadn't brushed them with the egg yet. So I need to do that. And then it also says to prick them all over with a fork, I'm assuming, so that they don't puff up too much and stay kind of thin. So yeah. Oops, well, we can fix this quickly. Right, okay, let's try this again. Round 2. Right, so it's a wee while later. My biscuits are out of the oven and cooled. They look quite nice, and now I am just going to decorate them. So for the decoration, Prue said to dip the biscuits in some dark chocolate and lengthways, so the chocolate kind of covers this part of the biscuit, and then to pipe 3 thin lines of white chocolate and then feather the icing with a toothpick. Rather than actually making feathers of white chocolate, so like they did on the show, some people. So what I've actually already done is I've melted my white chocolate, I've put it in a piping bag, and I've not cut off the end yet, and the reason why I've melted this first is so that I can then melt the dark chocolate in the same pot. And just to keep the white chocolate melted whilst I'm waiting for my dark chocolate to melt and do the dipping, I'm going to place this in a jar filled with warm water, and hopefully that should keep my white chocolate melted until I need it. But yes, my dark chocolate's almost melted, and then I can start dipping and feathering. Does that work without them falling off? Right, I don't want them to fall off. So that was actually very easy, quick to decorate, although I think the recipe calls for far too much chocolate. I mean, I have so much white chocolate in particular left over, but also dark chocolate, like buckets of it. And I was generous with the chocolate because I'm a chocolate gal and I love chocolate, but it's far too much. So I'll have to think of something else now to use the chocolate up with, but in my recipe, my version of the recipe that I will put on my blog, I think I will adjust the quantities for the chocolate. So if you do make this, use those quantities. But anyway, I'm going to leave this to set now and then they're ready to try. So here are my finished and set Garibaldi biscuits. I think they look very nice. I think the feathering looks quite cool as well, if you can see. So yeah, I have made myself a cup of tea and I'm now ready to try one of them. So let's go. I already got chocolate on me. Good sound. So they're not super crisp. I'm not sure if they're meant to be a bit crispier. But yeah, they're actually quite nice with the fruit in them. I think the chocolate definitely helps to make them a bit more interesting. But yeah, not too bad. I wonder if they withstand a dunk test. Ooh. Yeah, a bit crumbly, but works. Anyway, so that's the Garibaldi biscuits done. Week 2 done. I'm a little bit happier with my results this week than last week. And yeah, stay tuned for more and I will be back next week with week 3, which is bread week.